Hey guys, for this video today I will be sharing my thoughts on the Blues quote-unquote commemorative jersey that they have unveiled for the 2019-2020 NHL season. So as you can see here, the Blues have elected to bring back their red heavy 1990s throwback jersey, or jersey out for a few throwback games this coming year, and it's going to be worn as an additional throwback uniform this coming season. So I will say this, I am really surprised that of all of the jerseys that the Blues could pick to bring out from the vault to wear as a throwback, that they would be selecting their 1990s red heavy diagonal waist striped 90s blue jersey as a throwback. But I will say this, although this certainly would not have been my first choice for a throwback jersey for the Blues to bring out of the vault, I am very happy that this is a jersey that is a throwback rather than something new. Now, as I said when I made my video to talk about my thoughts on the Blues, or on the news that the Blues were adding a quote-unquote commemorative jersey, I was thinking to myself, oh no, are we going to get some new royal or even navy blue jersey design with a whole lot of Stanley Cup silver to commemorate their very first Stanley Cup in franchise history and set off a new trend of teams bringing out a special commemorative jersey when the first year after winning a Stanley Cup? Thankfully, that trend hasn't started, at least not yet. I hope it never happens because I think it's going to lead to the creation of a whole lot of mediocre jersey designs for short-term usage that, that are short-term usage that are really mediocre in terms of their designs, that are just meant to be brought out to sell some extra jerseys to make some more money to cash in on a Stanley Cup win. Sorry, folks, but I just think that's a bad idea. Now, I wholeheartedly respect your opinion if you disagree with me on that, but honestly, I just don't like the idea at all. I mean, I think that if you win a championship and you want to do something to commemorate your win, just wear a commemorative patch for your first home game of the season, or in the case of Major League Baseball, wear a commemorative patch for your first opening series of the year / season. You know, in baseball, I mean, I know I have seen at least one team, I believe it was the Kansas City Royals, after they won a World Series title about 3 or 4 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. And what the Royals did is they brought out a special white jersey with a gold word mark. I mean, in baseball, even though I don't like the idea of a commemorative jersey right after winning a championship, I mean, when they play a 162-game-long regular season where there's a spring training on top of that and playoffs after that's done, you know, I'm a little bit more tolerable of it, but I still would prefer if teams did not do that. And you know what? I believe very strongly that if you win a championship, if you want to do something special to commemorate it, I'm all for it, but don't do a jersey. Instead, do a patch. Wear a special patch for your first game. Celebrate your championship on home field or on home ice with your fans to kick off the first season after winning a championship, or after winning your most recent championship if you've won back-to-back titles, for example, or whatever, just as examples. But, you know, if you win a championship, that doesn't mean you bring out some cheesy, mediocre championship jersey to wear for a few jerseys or a few games as a quote-unquote commemorative jersey. So, thankfully, I feel that we managed to dodge a bullet in this case. So I'm glad that the Blues are bringing out an additional throwback rather than something new. So anyways, this jersey and uniform will include the red trimmed 1990s version of their logo, and of course the trumpet roundel alternate shoulder patch logo, which, although it's not my favorite, I think it's cool that they brought it back for the purpose of this 1990s throwback. So Now, this jersey and uniform will be worn for 3 games this upcoming season. One game will be against Calgary, which it would be amazing if the Flames elected to bring out their Heritage Classic uniform for this game against the Blues when they wear this throwback, because I think that would be a good-looking matchup. And if not for this game, definitely do it when the Blues are wearing their 67 throwback, because if the Flames and the Blues have a chance to meet up on a Saturday this season in St. Louis, that, in my opinion, would be one of the best matchups that you could see in the NHL this season, in my opinion. That would be gorgeous. Now, speaking of gorgeous, the Islanders and the Red Wings have absolutely fantastic away uniforms, so their jersey matchups against the Blues when they bring out this 1990s throwback, in my opinion, are going to be awesome. So let's take a look at a couple photos of the Blues 1990s throwback uniform they will wear for a few games this year. Notice that it's a big, round, yellow, heavy Adizero collar. For this jersey, I think it works. And as for the numbers, Adidas and the St. Louis Blues have elected to honor the jersey's history from the 1990s and make it historically accurate by creating a custom number font that follows the numbers positioning on the waist, along the waist striping, which I think is really unique and really cool. Now, if I were a Blues fan 20 plus years ago when they wore this jersey, would I want the Blues to do this with their numbers? Probably not, because the Ducks, back when they were actually the Mighty Ducks and they had the jade colored waist striping on their eggplant and white jerseys at the time, the numbers were regular sized and both equally positioned on the back of the jersey, just like the numbers on the back of any other regular NHL jersey. But the Blues bucked that trend, and I really think it's quite cool that the Blues and Adidas were able to make this jersey historically accurate by having the numbers designed based on where they're positioned along the waist striping again. I think that's really cool, and I'm glad that the Blues and Adidas found a way to make it happen. So, of course, there's the collar insert. This is a case where the team, in my opinion, did a decent job with an Adidas collar, which I think deserves credit because overall, if you're a regular viewer of mine, I hate the Adizero collars. So when Adidas does something right and the team's involved with the collar designs, I always like to give them credit. So here's some more photos. The shoulder patch, the main crest, the striping a little bit. And notice that the numbers, at least on the players' jerseys, will be layered twill. I believe that's what you call it. Please correct me if I'm wrong because I'm not fully sure on that. But I just hope that the retail jerseys are not going to just have screen printed numbers. That would really piss me off if people are paying top dollar for an Adizero retail jersey just to get screen printed numbers. But notice that inside the yellow part of the number, it almost looks to me like the numbers on this jersey will use the fabric crest technology that Adizero or the Adidas Adizero uniforms have brought to a lot of crests on the NHL's jerseys now. Like, for example, teams such as Vancouver and Minnesota, their logos have a fabric material on them now, and they use a new material that's more durable. And it's interesting when I look at this because I almost wonder if that technology and that type of material is now on the numbers of this jersey. That's something I would actually really like to know, because I wonder if it is. I wonder if it's the start of a new trend for numbers on the backs of NHL jerseys. That's something that we'll have to see as time goes on, but I would be curious to know if this is a situation where the numbers on the back of this 90s throwback will use the same type of new material as a lot of the logos in the NHL have used since the switch to the Adidas Adizero uniforms. So now, this is a full front shot of the Blues 90s throwback. And hang on just a sec. I'm going to try and make sure we can switch to the next photo. A good shot of the shoulder patch. and then the back of the jersey, and see how the numbers are positioned and styled to follow the waist striping, which I think is so cool that Adidas and the Blues have brought that style back to make this uniform historically accurate. I think that's really cool that they've done that. So, as I said earlier, the Blues will only be wearing this for 3 games this season, and personally, I think that that's plenty of games. I think it's cool that the Blues have decided to add an extra jersey to their rotation. And personally, although this would not have been my first choice for a throwback uniform to wear on top of their 67 throwbacks, to be honest, folks, I really don't mind the Blues wearing this for a few games this coming season. I think it's going to look okay. It's actually going to look pretty good. Now, is this my favorite design in the world? Absolutely not, and it's certainly not my favorite Blues uniform either. But I will be honest, I've always felt that this was a unique, cool, kind of neat design, and to see it back for a few games, I'm all for it. Now, with the collar style, I think when the Blues wore the uniform, at least at first, their collars were really thick. So seeing Adidas go with a bright yellow heavy collar style with red piping, in my opinion, was kind of almost like an homage to the collar design that the Blues had with this uniform when they wore it in the 1990s. But as you can see here, I mean, I have a CCM replica of this jersey, and honestly, I love the collar style that came with this CCM jersey. It's just a nice, simple V-neck. But, you know, I think of it like this, though, and sorry to be picky, but if the St. Louis Blues, if the Arizona Coyotes could do Kachina collar piping, I wonder if it's possible if they could have somehow found a way to do a royal blue heavy Adizero collar with a little line of gold along the top, just like the 67 throwback, and then a little line of red underneath that. I think that could have looked really, really cool. But as I say that, though, I think the collar design that they used was actually a good design. I actually like it. And I love being able to say that because overall, I have really, really despised the Adizero collars in general. Now, I'll be honest, I've always thought this design style was pretty cool. So, would I ever want the Blues to go back to this again full-time? Hell no. I don't even think I'd want to see St. Louis bring this out as a third. But to wear for a few games this year as something extra, to be honest, I'm all for it. And I want to give a quick shout out to my subscriber, Borderland Hockey, because when I read your comment on that random old update video I uploaded recently where I opened this jersey up out of the mail, I absolutely bursted out laughing when you said, oh, the Blues must have seen this video. That was pretty funny, at least in my opinion. I got quite the laugh out of it. And, you know, I would honestly laugh my butt off if the Blues actually saw that video. They thought, hey, this guy's onto something. No, probably not. But still, I just wanted to acknowledge that comment because I thought it was hilarious. But anyways, I will say this. I mean, overall, am I against the Blues bringing this design out for a few games this coming season? Not at all. I think I'm all for it for a few games. It's not my favorite Blues uniform of all time, but I will say this. It's certainly kind of neat. It's a totally weird design. And for a few games, honestly, I can't wait to see it on the ice. It's gonna look weird in terms of what I'm used to when it comes to Blues jerseys, but you know what? I tip my hat to them for doing something a little extra for this upcoming season. But I do agree with aesthetics, though. I mean, the Blues announced this as a quote-unquote commemorative jersey. But, you know, for the most part, paraphrase aesthetics, I mean, I agree with him in the sense that I'm still trying to, myself, understand the commemorative part of this uniform. I mean, I'm not sure what they're commemorating here. But as I say that, though, I think it's cool that they're doing this for a few, or wearing this uniform for a few games. Now, I will say this. I noticed that this is now yet another jersey that was worn in the 1990s that's being brought out as a throwback. I mean, last season, the Coyotes brought out their 90s throwback as a full-time third. The Ducks' 25th anniversary jersey was heavily inspired by their 90s Mighty Ducks era uniforms. And now for this season, not only are we getting a Kings throwback from that was worn in the 1990s for a couple of games, the Canucks are also doing a 90s throwback as well for a few games this season because they're bringing out their 94 throwbacks to celebrate their 50th anniversary. And before the season's done, we may even be getting a Flyers jersey or an 80s throwback Flyers jersey that was worn for a good part of the 1990s. Basically all of the 90s, from what I can remember, the vast majority before they sadly retired that jersey and insisted on wearing just black and white instead, which in my opinion was a mistake. But you know what? It's interesting that a lot of teams are now wearing throwbacks that were worn in the 1990s. Am I against it? No. I mean, seeing some extra throwbacks here and there I think is really cool. I'm really excited especially about the Kings throwback. I think it's a great jersey. And on top of that, the Blues are still going to wear their 67 throwbacks as a full-time third. This is just classified as a throwback jersey that'll be worn for 3 games only. And personally, I think that is a great combination. Having the 67 throwback as the main alternate and having this as a throwback for a few games. You know what? I think that's a great idea. And personally, I'm all for it. However, to be quite honest, I want to say this. If I was really hoping that the Blues were going to bring out a white 67 throwback instead. I mean, I was actually really surprised when the Blues announced this as their quote-unquote commemorative jersey. I was either expecting something new and mediocre or a 67 white throwback, which I will be honest, I would have much rather seen that jersey come back than this one. But, as I say that though, as I've said a few times in this video now, for a few games, I really don't mind the Blues bringing this out. It's something different, it's interesting, it's a unique design. The colors are really quite unique, and I've always felt that the color combo on this jersey is actually pretty cool. Now, would I want the Blues to switch to this full-time or even as a third? No. But to wear once in a blue moon, honestly, for a few games this year, I'm honestly really looking forward to seeing this on the ice for a few games this coming season. But anyways, you guys, I'd love to hear what you think about the Blues' decision to bring out a 1990s vintage jersey for 3 games this coming season. Personally, I think it's really cool, and I'm all for it. Even though I know there's many people out there who don't like it, personally, I think for a few games, it's going to look just fine, and honestly, I'm all for it. But anyways, I'd love to hear how you guys feel about this uniform, and on that note, folks, speaking of notes, as in aka their logo, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and once again, I'd love to hear what you guys think about the Blues' decision to bring this jersey out of all of the throwback designs that they could have brought out instead. And on that note, folks, that's a wrap from me. I hope you have all enjoyed this video, and of course, as always, you guys, until my next video, take care, and of course, as usual, folks, bye for now.